From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, July the 10th, 2020. France is the latest European country to come out against Israel extending sovereignty to parts of the West Bank. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke over the phone yesterday with French President Emmanuel Macron, who asked the Prime Minister to refrain from any such action, which he said would contravene international law and jeopardize the possibility of a two-state solution. Macron's office stressed, though, that France remained committed to Israel's security and expressed Macron's attachment to the friendship and confidence that links France and Israel. Netanyahu tweeted today about the conversation and said that he clarified to Macron that Israel is acting according to international law, also saying that Israel is prepared to hold peace negotiations on the basis of President Trump's plan, but that the Palestinians are refusing. And with Israel seeing a continued spike in coronavirus cases, new restrictions were announced today, including closures of certain neighborhoods in Jerusalem, Beit Shemesh, Laud, Ramla, and Kiryat Malachi that have seen a particular high outbreak of COVID-19 cases and will be considered restricted zones with limited entry and exit for the next week. The U.S. House Appropriations Committee passed the annual State and Foreign Operations Funding Bill yesterday, which included critical funding for the State of Israel. Pro-Israel lobby AIPAC shared on social media that the important bipartisan provisions will help keep Israel safe and America strong. Tweeting the full $3.3 billion in U.S. security assistance to Israel, as agreed to in the 2016 Memorandum of Understanding signed by President Obama, $2 million for a new program to promote U.S.-Israel international development cooperation in the areas of water scarcity and agriculture and energy storage, $2 million for a new program to promote our Eastern Mediterranean partnerships, referring there to Israel, Greece, and Cyprus, as well as funding for the Middle East Partnership for Peace Act to build economic partnerships between Israelis, Palestinians, and Americans, as well as people-to-people peace-building programs, and provide humanitarian and development assistance to the Palestinians. That was sponsored by Democrat Nita Lowey and Republican Jeff Fortenberry. And the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security approved $360 million in funding for the Nonprofit Security Grant Program, a significant increase from last year. The grants help nonprofits at risk of terror attacks and have proven vital to the Jewish community. Jewish organizations lauded the advancement of the bill and thanked Nita Lowey once again for her efforts on this bill, as well as Republican Representative Peter King. Leaders of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, Arthur Stark, William Daroff, and Malcolm Hoenlein, said, with the increase in anti-Semitism and Jew hatred, these grants are more necessary than ever before to provide critical resources to take protective measures to enhance security. The Jewish Federations of North America's board chair, Mark Wilf, said bolstered funding in the upcoming fiscal year will help to secure thousands of synagogues, Jewish community agencies, and organizations, as well as other faith and communal groups that have too frequently been the victims of deadly attacks. Sadly, he said, there is a compelling reason for Congress to move quickly and pass the legislation. B'nai B'rith International launched a new initiative to fight anti-Semitism. None shall be afraid. A name inspired by a quote from a letter President George Washington wrote to the congregants of Touro Synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island. B'nai B'rith leaders Charles Kaufman and Daniel Mariashin said today Jews face threats to their safety that have not been seen in decades. To fight the scourge of anti-Semitism and the hatred it encompasses, we must come together in the spirit of Washington's letter. The initiative includes online resources, including for specifically dealing with anti-Semitism on college campuses, as well as an online pledge to educate and help others understand the evils of anti-Semitism, speak against demonization and delegitimization of Israel, challenge Holocaust denial, and respect equal rights for everyone. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, July the 10th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Kabbalat Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8 o'clock, veteran comic writer Alan Zweibel speaks at the 92nd Street Y. At 9, it's the film Backdoor Channels, The Price of Peace, which tells the true story that led to the 1979 Camp David Peace Accord and Treaty between Egypt and Israel. At 10, a concert with Nefesh Mountain, and 6:13. Then a replay of the Hampton Synagogue services, followed by a replay of the services from Central Synagogue. And coming up next, a look at this week's Torah portion, and then Mark Golub hosts Together During COVID-19. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, July the 10th, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well. Shabbat Shalom.